Jesse Rentier is an agent of the Rentier Institute, a secret organization operating in the American frontier, dedicated to battling supernatural creatures such as the Sanguisuge, aka ticks, vampires that have accepted the gift of change, found in blood and prey on humanity. Working together with retired agent Edgar Grave-Ner, they ambush a vampire informant named Chester Morgan, who smuggles blood and lower Sanguisuge beasts for the highborn vampires. Using his info, they follow the trail of Peter Durbano, a highborn vampire that advocates for evolving the Sanguisuge through controlling the change and declaring war on humanity before their technology develops to the point where it wipes the Sanguisuge out. The Sanguisuge leadership, wanting to stay in the shadows and believing that controlling the change is blasphemous, reject Durbano's plan and sentence him and his entire lineage to true death. Jesse and Edgar then ambush Durbano and capture his head, taking it back to the manor, the Rentier Institute's headquarters, to be added to their archives of still living, talking heads of slain Sanguisuge. Upon arriving, Jesse has a tense argument with his father William, who wants Jesse to quit being a field agent and take over William's position as head of the institute. That night is a presentation in front of Assistant Secretary of War James Harrow of a special gauntlet capable of breaking the magical glamours the Sanguisuge use to hide themselves and block their lairs. However, Durbano's daughter Felicity attacks the manor with an army of Sanguisuge, killing most of the staff and agents stationed there and recovering Durbano's head. With William critically wounded, Jesse, Edgar, and Harrow flee to the nearby city of Calico, where they make contact with the local Rentier Institute cell, led by Dr. Amelia Blackwell. Suspecting that William may have been infected with vampirism by Felicity, Edgar heads off by himself to find a possible cure in the form of a plant known as La Orchid de la Vida from Lake Maurepas. Meanwhile, Jesse works with engineer Virgil Oni to repair the gauntlet after overusing it fighting off pursuing Sanguisuge. While recovering the parts needed to repair the gauntlet, Jesse finds that Felicity has been using a species of supersized leeches to siphon old blood from the cadavers of mythical pre-Columbian beasts to evolve herself and her familiars, creating an army of creatures called Foulbloods. These creatures are more primitive and mindless than regular familiars but have powerful, shape-shifting beast-like forms, and undergo the change and then reproduce near instantly compared to the normal, slower method used with human-like familiars. Jesse clears out the mining town of Baxter, containing one of these cadavers that was being guarded by Felicity's familiars. He then finds a second ancient corpse at McCallum Sawmill, one of many properties under the Andalusia Financial Services Group, which is also serving as a farm for Felicity's leeches. After setting the corpse and farm on fire, he returns to Calico to find that his father has indeed been infected by vampire blood and is in the process of turning into Felicity's familiar. Short on time, Jesse heads out to find Edgar at Maurepas Swamps, saving him from Foulbloods and securing the La Orchid de la Vida for a cure, which is injected into William. However, William is still briefly telepathically linked with Felicity and warns Jesse that she is in Dickinson, an important rail hub. Despite learning Felicity's location, Harrow orders Jesse to instead head to an oil field in Kingston run by Andalusia, as Andalusia was actually illegally owned by Durbano. Jesse is to seize documents of the company's holdings and assets for the government, and Harrow states that the profits will be used to help fund the weakened institute. However, Jesse finds out that Harrow actually wants to secure the documents for himself to line his pockets. When Jesse confronts him, Harrow, having been promoted to Secretary of War with total control of the institute, threatens to arrest Jesse, defund the institute, and destroy his father's legacy if they don't obey him. With encouragement from William, Jesse ignores Harrow and heads to Dickinson, where Felicity, lacking enough leeches after Jesse destroyed her leech farm, is loading train boxcars full of bats filled with ancient blood for transport across the country. Jesse is defeated during a confrontation with Felicity and is unable to prevent her from escaping. After suffering significant injury, Jesse is rescued by a pastor named Stravinsky, who took him to a nearby town to recover. Jesse learns that most of the town's inhabitants have been infected by the bats, with the surviving townspeople barricading themselves in the local church. Stravinsky informs him of a secret institute cell up in the nearby mountains experimenting with gauntlet technology using local lightning storms, and agrees to send a telegram to the institute to confirm while Jesse destroys the local foul blood nests. Stravinsky also explains that in their previous telegraph to the authorities when the foul bloods first showed up, they were told that Harrow would handle the problem. However, Harrow lied and did nothing, which led to the foul bloods running rampant. Jesse heads to the abandoned Institute lab in the mountains, meeting Virgil there, who was sent by William to help further upgrade the gauntlet using the lab's technology. After increasing the gauntlet's power, Jesse and Virgil return to Calico, only to be confronted by Harrow, who has discovered they have kept William alive in violation of protocol. He orders Amelia to have Jesse and Virgil arrested, and to interrogate and kill William. When Amelia and the rest of the Calico cell refuse, Harrow leaves, promising to withdraw the US government's support and to reconstruct the institute under Harrow's name. Jesse then heads out to reunite with Edgar, who had believed Jesse was dead following the incident in Dickinson. Seeking revenge, Edgar had gone after Chester at his weapon-smuggling hideout in the mountains, planning to beat him for Felicity's whereabouts. Irritated by Durbano and Felicity's overt actions making it harder for the Sanguisuge to hide and survive, Chester willingly tells them that Felicity is using a train manufacturing company called Persephone to both breed and transport her creatures across the country, that she is using the Bank of Carmine City to fund her operations, and that she is planning to attack Washington, D.C. soon. Chester also warns them that the orchid cure they used on William is only temporary. His vampiric urges will return, and his transformation will complete upon seeing a drop of blood. Jesse and Edgar rush back to Calico, but arrive to find out that William had turned in their absence, killed several members of the Calico cell, including Virgil, and then fled. Realizing his father is too far gone, Jesse promises to hunt William down. Jesse follows William's trail to Felicity's base at Persephone, where he reluctantly kills him after finding William has turned into a highborn. He then proceeds to Felicity's headquarters in Carmine City, where she and Durbano were using the local bank to finance their activities. After clearing the city of the numerous familiars and foul bloods protecting the bank, Jesse learns that Felicity is already gone. However, he is able to recapture Durbano's still-alive head as it is trying to regenerate in a bloodbath. Under interrogation, Durbano reveals that, due to Jesse's actions in destroying the Leech Farm and her army at Persephone, Felicity doesn't have the forces necessary to attack the White House so she can turn President Grover Cleveland into a familiar. Instead, Felicity has left to ambush President Cleveland as he attends a performance premiere at Chesterfield Opera in D.C. with Harrow and minimum security. Jesse and his friends, after stealing Harrow's blimp, follow Felicity and arrive in the middle of her assault on the Opera House. While his friends secure President Cleveland, Jesse confronts Felicity, who has mutated and become deranged from the ancient blood. After a prolonged battle, Jesse finally manages to kill her. Although Harrow tries to claim credit for the Institute's success, Amelia had already informed President Cleveland of how Harrow has been abusing his position for profit and actively jeopardizing the country, leading to his arrest and dismissal. After Jesse turns down his offer to be the new Secretary of War, President Cleveland promises to return full control of the Rentier Institute to Jesse and give it his full backing in the war against the Sanguisuge. Knowing that improvements need to be made in order to win the war against the Sanguisuge, Jesse and Amelia begin to come up with ideas to rebuild and reform the Rentier Institute.